All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Unfortunately, today I'm only myself here as a application guy, and the sales guy is just busy for site inspection. So I will try by myself. So if there is any mistake, I apologize. But today, third week of a webinar, so I have set up a showroom like this for showing you the ID cut presentation application with Mimaki printer and cutter, right? So before we going through our actual demos, having some of our customer and our dealer sales channel partners as well. So I'd like to go over some of our basic knowledge base, how you can start ID cut with Mimaki. All right. If you can't see the the monitor with the Mimaki webinar presentation, could you put your comments with you? If not, I will just start. All right. All right. Today's session, I'm going through between 30 minutes to 45 minutes, just less than an hour. Just bothering your time, I'd like to go through to the 6 points. Having Mimaki ID card, what's going to be the benefit? What will be supported product from Mimaki? System configuration and workflow. So if you may already have a supported printer and cutter ready to start, Mimaki ID card. So I will go through, what the system configuration you need to set up today. Number 4 and 5, basically we do a demo on the software side and the hardware side as well. And lastly, question and answer session. All right. So, let's start quickly. All right, first of all, benefit of ID cut function, you've got the simple 3 things as their key features. The first, auto cut data export. What it is having an ID print from a Mimaki printer, the cutting plotter or inbuilt cutter in the print and cut machine is actually reading the ID on the first of a cut job, and it will actually communicate automatically with a computer to export the cut data. So normally the print and cut, the sign writers, operator is always going back and forth with a detector mark and goes back to a computer, click a job to send the data, and the trims finish a cut job and sending the data again and so on. So you need to go back and forth from a cutting plotter and computer normally. However, the ID cut can prevent or avoid doing that. So with very simple step, minimize your manpower. Second, auto cut data rotation. The ID printed by Mimaki printer with ID cut function. It actually includes the data code as well as direction code. So in case you've printed in the first shift in the morning guy, and if you are cutting with afternoon shift with the afternoon guy with a different operator, you can prevent a mistake because of the different or missing the direction. So if you've got a quick photo on the right-hand side, this is an example of mistake. If you are a cutter guy, and if you do not know which direction was put, what was print, and you can just avoid this mistake because the ID is read by a cutting plotter, automatically detects the direction of the cut data. All right, third, which I like the most, this benefit, auto search next job. All right. So if you've got a job like job A, and it's just a continuous print the same job, then you can just send the data for click how many times you want to cut, and it will just continuous cut. However, if you print a the print data A, B, C, D, E, whatever, the different data with a print and cut, the operator needs to detect a mark on the first data and comes back to a computer to send a cut A job. After cut A job is finished, you need to detect a mark on the cut B, cut second data. you need to go back computer again to send. However, all the Mimaki cutting plotter, which supports the ID card, has a capability to read, detect the next job or next mark. So if you've got the whole job, whole media roll over 30 or 40 or 50 meter printed with the ID code, you can just let a cutting plotter, read and detect mark and cut whatever the data continuously overnight. So it will dramatically reduce the manpower by attending to the cut job for always. Right? So remember those three is the most key points of the ID cut, the benefit and features. Right, just for refreshing, having a Mimaki customer and Mimaki guy as well today, and the Mimaki sales partners as well. So I'd like to go through to the just a simple which Mimaki printer and print and cut and the cutting plotter supports the ID cut function. Right, so going through to the more to vinyl seat and seat application means I can flexible seat whatever film or the vinyl self-adhesive vinyls. Right, the printer side it's supported by JV300 Plus, right, and JV100 and UJV100, which is an all printer exclusive machine which released later 2020. Unfortunately, JV150 series or CJV150 series, which released before 2020, and the low-end entry model does not support the ID card on the machine. For the print and cut machine, we've got the CJV300 Plus and the UCJV300 series are supporting the print and ID card. And the cutting plotter for roll fed, only CGFX2 Plus supports ID card. All right, by saying those are the lineup, basically print and ID card can be done by the combination of a printer and a cutter, of course, printer and cut as well. For example, if you've got a JV300 and CJV300 Plus, right? So you can print JV300 and ID cut on cutter side of CJV300 Plus, if you prefer to do that. As well as the print and cut machine can do print and ID cut by one machine. For example, if you print on those machines and go to laminate, and then reset the print onto the machine again for the cutting, it does the ID cut as well. Or you can utilize print and cut machine as printer only and using CGFX Plus as a cutter, so you can combine those as well. As well as a rigid application for the rigid sheets or die bond or core fruit and so on. All right, for the flatbed mostly. So you've got the UJF series. I'm not 100% sure if a Mark 1, original UJF series supports, but UJF Mark 2 supported. I've tried last week, it works well. JFX 200 and EX model for printer. And for cutting rigid sheet, we've got a CFL 605 and CF20 to 1225 works for ID cut as well. All right. So what's the most benefit is the investment cost of the ID card. All right. So you do not require any additional software to to buy to start ID card. It's all bundled in the machine or it's a free download, all right, which is beautiful. Support, okay, software you need to do mandatory to do the ID card is Rasterlink 6 Plus or newly released 7, all right, which comes with all printers from Mimaki. Rasterlink tool, which is a plugin software to Adobe Illustrator or CorelDRAW in order to trace the cut line with a spot color name automatically, is a free downloadable. Or you can actually copy and paste the setup tool or setup file from Rasterlink 6 or 7. right? However, you need to buy Adobe Illustrator, of course. We don't sell one, or we don't give you free. The thirdly, cutting link, which is the desktop cutting server to communicate with ID cutting plotter, which is also free download from Mimaki website. All right, those three software is mandatory, for anyone starts Mimaki ID cut, right? As an optional item, as an optional software, well, it comes free of charge with the Mimaki print and cut or printers or cutters as well. Fine Cut 9. All right. I will tell you in end of this presentation what can you do additionally with a Fine Cut 9. But again, it's not a mandatory. However, it comes with all Mimaki cutters as well. So I will just skip to the last of the session. Right, before we doing a demo today for ID card with a separate machine, I'd just like to go through to the basic system configuration in order to, start the ID card. All right, what you need is minimum one computer and one or two machines with a printer or cutter or a print and cut machine. All right, as long as you have the device within this red circle or red square, whatever it's called, you can start ID cut from today. Some of the customer has a different computer for artwork and Adobe Cutline creation with a Mimaki Rastering tool. However, it can be in the same computer as a Rastering 6. Depends on your size of the business. You've got the different guy for doing a design and the printing. But if you are the mom and dad or mom and dad sign shop, you probably have only one computer, no problem. As long as you've got Adobe Illustrator, you can install Rastering tool, and you can use in the same computer installed if you want. In case if you have a big factory for printer side and a cutter side in a different room, in that case, you are required to set up another computer for cutting side because of distance. The CGFX Plus only supports USB connection. So if you want to, install CGFX2 Plus for ID cut with a cutting link, you need to install a cutting link in a separate computer with a network from a Rastering 6 Plus or Rastering 7 computer. However, again, if you are mom and dad sign shop, right? That way, you can install a cutting link into same computer as Rastering 6, as it's shown in below, the second computer, all right? That means, again, you can start ID cut work from today, having one computer for Adobe Rastering tool, Rastering 6, and the cutting link, and one Mimaki printer and one Mimaki cutting plotter. How simple is that? Right. Today, I'm going to show you, it's quarter past from 10. So, I will show next 10 minutes how the print and cut work, right? So first, I'm going to show you the, how the demo center today is set up like in front of the camera. How do you make it bigger? Let me stop screen share. So it might work. Right, I think it's watching now. All right, I'm here, New South Wales showroom. I've set up one printer, JB100, our new eco-solvent printer with a new AS5 ink, orange and light black ink set. All right, so this is most economical cost printing solution with the orange and light black in the market today with the original Mimaki ink. All right, it's a half cost of the Roland Truvis ink, or more than half, or less than half. I've got the cutting plotter CG130 FX2 Plus, right? FX2 Plus today, we actually setting additional pinch rollers with the EGP, the reflective seat, the cutting kit. However, the normal CG130 cutting plotter has only 3 pinch levers, which is no problem at all. I've got the big monitor with rastering. However, I realized this morning that the camera doesn't capture the display well. So I'm gonna go through to the initial process of software from my monitor with having my YouTube video. So I'm gonna share again the my display, my desktop, in order to show you the initial setup of ID card. All right, here's a quick video. Quick video on my personal, my personal work channel, from Tomomitsu Harada. If you search Mimaki ID card, then you will get this video on YouTube in top of your search, because I've got just close to 600 views in couple years. But I appreciate people watching it. All right, so I'm gonna start by just going through to the this video. All right, so this is a cutting link. The first time you start, you need to the setup one off, right? So if you go to Tool and Cut Device Manager, and you will see on the available device CGFX2 Plus, or whichever the cutting plotter connected to computer, right? So it's done. As long as it's USB, you don't need a manually set IP address because it's USB connection, so IP address doesn't matter. On the Rastering Plus side, it's also one-off setting, right? So go to a top menu, environment, go to option, and then the last tab, which is communication, right? You need to set up this to the whatever the computer name, which is installing the the cutting link. It can be same computer, and it can be a networked computer. As long as it's in the same network, it shows in the list. So you just click whatever the computer name used for the ID card. And then you just simply import the print and cut job from the cut file from your job library. At this moment, what I want to explain quickly is how to make print and cut data from Adobe. There is 1,000 of video available, including my channel, using a Mimaki cutting tool or a Mimaki rastering tool, or any of a Mimaki distributor in the world is making a similar video. So I'm not gonna explain at this moment, but simply trace the data, trace the cut line with the Mimaki rastering tool. It can be done in 5 clicks. Comparing to Roland workflow, they need 16 clicks, all right? And in the job editor of a print and cut data, it's mandatory to add a crop mark from there, right? You do not need to add a crop mark from Adobe or the rastering tool, but from you can do from rastering 6 plus, right? What's most important is just below the crop mark choice menu, you've got the ID cut box, all right? So you must click that and tick the box. This is to automatically add the unique ID print data or the ID reading data, and raster link automatically knows, hey, this is ID cut data, so it needs to only print, but send the cut data to cutting link server. That's all done in automatic. All right, so this is how the little the ID looks like. All right, here's one thing. All right, just a more technical part though. In order to put ID onto a print and cut data, of course you need to have the certain size of the data, because ID length is about 7 centimeters in either way. You can't put the ID onto the less than 7 centimeters of a size of a sticker. So if you want to do one sticker, well, there's no one, printing one sticker and laminate and doing a cut later on. But anyway, I've done some people saying that ID cut is not working or print is not working. And then, the first thing I ask is, hey, how big is the data is? People say, I'm just testing with a 5 centimeters square. Oh, it's not going to work. It must be more than 7 centimeters of a size. All right, anyway, I've just gone through to the half of my video, just showing the initial setup of the software side. So I will just go back to the my showroom. All right, here you go again. Tomo, everyone knows me. All right, first of all, I want to go through to the the printing. It's a middle of printing, so I'm gonna just restart printing. Currently, it's printing the print mode with about 8.5 square meters an hour with a high quality mode. Even saying 8.5 square meters an hour, it's actually faster comparing to a speed and quality in the market today. Just bear with me for a couple of minutes for the for looking at the printing. It's still a middle of printing. All right, while it's printing, well, I'm not gonna wait for printing anyway, but while it's printing, I just wanna go through just, the 3 minutes presentation of JB100. All right, what's unique on JB100? Well, since in Australia, JB300 is really, pretty good, pricing in general. So, price-wise, it's really, close to what's on JB300, which is about 22,000 Australian dollars fully installed with a set of the ink. In front of the machine, this is a dryer unit, same as JB300. However, it does not include on the machine. It's additional $2,500, additional ex-GST. The take-up motor here supports up to 45 kilograms of a roll. So general, the vinyl roll for 50 kilograms is about 25 to 30 kilograms. So it's easily can taken up. However, if you go to like a pull-up banner material, the thick, double-sided, the coating material, which goes about 40 kilograms with, the 50 meters, the roll. So it still, takes up pretty well and very straight, and it's supported. The printhead is the newest technology from Mimaki. We don't use the Epson anymore. We don't use Ricoh for solvent printing anymore. So it's an M head, typically called the Mimaki original head. Well, it's not made by Mimaki, but it's made for Mimaki. So you cannot find this industrial head, in the sign graphics the market today. The minimum drop size is a 3.5 picoliter. Comparing to the latest Epson is a 4.5. So actually, when you print the high resolution, you can really see the the very tiny text as well as the the half toning with no grayness. The concept of this machine released globally in 10 months ago. It was said as the expert printing made easy. Well, it's a pretty Japanese English. However, the reason why it's saying is the carriage of the print head has an auto detection sensor of the dot positioning adjustment. So instead of a customer having experience for 10, 20 years for doing a dot adjustment or feed comp adjustment, you can have, someone started last week, just to push the button and print adjustment pattern and detect that automatically. So, the beginner operator started last week or last month can't even make mistake. However, though, the traditional way to adjust is still there because the automatic adjustment still takes like 10 to 15 minutes to complete because it needs to do all the resolutions and the passes and so on. So you can still decide which way to go, automatic and manual. But it's a good sales point saying that the just to press the button for auto adjustment, just get coffee and drink, have a chat with someone or your boss for today's mission, and just come back and the printer is ready. Unfortunately, I don't have pretty the print sample we printed recently. However, everyone joining today, our distributor has received a certain amount of the sample, or just get it from our the state reps, state sales channel managers, today just call up and get some samples if you want to see. But it's really the high density and the high productivity, and you can't see any banding or mistake onto the printing. Right? What I want to go through is after printing, actually printed like this. Right? I've got two different data. The bottom one is a large sticker card. The top one is a small sticker card, right? And make sure that here you've got the ID printed along with the ledger mark, right? At this moment, I've done this last week, and over the weekend, I can't remember which way I've printed, but I can say it's this way or this way. Anyway, I'm gonna just put this way onto front, right? Right. In order to set up the print result into a cutting plotter, you can just do it, all from front. You just need to make sure that the front edge of the vinyl is straight enough, because we need to align this to the metal edge of the platen in order to start cutting. Right? And while before you put the clamp down, make sure that the both pinch rollers are in a position, and the middle one is also in a position. Okay, as long as the pinch rollers is locating in a white area, you are set. All right, put the clamp down. There is still the initial setting of the ID cut on the plotter side to decide if a plotter reads the ID code, or if you want a plotter to detect the ID mark for the second job automatically. Just look at the rest of this video later on, or I mean this YouTube video later on about the initial setup of a cutting plotter, or the software. It includes that as well. So I've already set that in a cutting plotter. So only the thing you need to do is detect the media, right? It's gonna detect the media, and watch with me. So once it's detected the 3 pinch rollers, right? What's gonna happen is the head carriage just goes left and front continuously to start searching the regio mark. Currently, I'm setting a 40 centimeters to read from back left to right. However, if you have some job which is locating either in the center of the job, center of the data, center of the media, or if you are actually rotating the media to only print this way, then you need to tell the machine to scan like a 1 meter or 1.2 meters or whatever the length. All right, so it's just getting close to the cut data. So now I think it's just detected. So now as long as it detects the ID code and there is a data in a cutting link, then it automatically starts the reading and detecting the 4 marks first. All right, my apologies now. Let me just pause because I forgot to install the knife blade. Right, and while it's pausing, press an unpause remote button again, so it starts cutting. All right, just while it's cutting, I'd like to explain something about CGSR, CGFX2 Plus series cutting plotter, right? CGFX2 Plus, CGFX2 Plus cutting plotter was released back in 12, about 18 months ago. It's around the January or February last year, just before COVID hit to global. However, CGFX2 or CGFX cutting plotter has been in a decent technology with Mimaki for almost 20 years, right? Since started, all the cutting technology like X and Y motion doesn't really change, but we just adding the little features for upgrading 2 and plus in the last 20 years. What's beauty of this machine is a tracking capability, right? So it tracks up to 10 meters over length with an error of less than 5 mil. I'm not sure if a 5 mil is acceptable the range of general customers, but if you comparing with the the other manufacturer like R and G or who else, the S in Belgium, it has the best tracking accuracy as long as you do print and cut or the cutting letter application. The other thing too is the maximum speed of the cut. You can do up to 100 centimeters per second of cutting. So in case if you just cutting A, B, C, X, Y, Z, those type of cutting letters, it actually cuts twice faster than the the others, minimum twice faster. If you're comparing with someone, it's actually 5 times faster. However, we have all the comparison data. If you want to show to your client, just to check out the one PDF document from a Mimaki sales portal site. And if you can't find a password, just ask a Mimaki local sales rep, and we will work together for you. Machine has 3 different size, 75 centimeters for more to the how you say print and cut sticker application. We've got 130 centimeter, which is this one, and we've got 160 centimeters the wide. 160 FX2 Plus, you can put up to 1800 millimeters of the the raw material, even it only cuts 160 centimeters. The reason we're doing it is because enables the customer to set up the PPF film, which is a print protection film from a Sunsticker or Sunkit, whoever it's called, from the United States, which has a 90% of a market share regards to window tinting or the vinyl or the paint application, a paint protection film in the market. In general, Mimaki has 6 different, the cutting blade depends on, well, what material you will cut. We will probably implement that, webinar for maybe next week for the, just going through what kind of material and what kind of blade to put with, accompanied by Cameron from Melbourne. He's got the decent knowledge base regards to those cutting technologies and cutting type and application. So we may go through with Cameron. All right, it's almost finishing the first cut, and after that, it will auto seat cut and detect next the mark. So please bear with me for a couple more seconds. Also, if you have got any question or request regards to what you want to see or what you want to hear from this webinar, of course, for this webinar or other webinar is fine. Just enter your comments into the your chat room or question room, so we can go through to the last of the webinar. All right, just the first job was cut, seat cut, and yeah. I didn't have the seat cut vinyl, well, protection, how you call it, the seat basket. But anyway, the floor was, luckily clean enough. So it actually starts reading the second job automatically. All right, here is just one tip or trick though. If you look at the workflow between printer and cutter here, actually the cutting plotter does not have a the roll feeding take-up reel on it. So you just need to keep seat cutting and let it fall into the seat cut vinyl. Sorry, I just forgot. Keep forgetting. The seat basket, all right? However, if you do print and cut machine, like a CJB 300 or UCJB 300, what's beauty is you can just avoid the seat cut, just turn the seat cut and put the first edge of the vinyl into a take-up wheel. That way, after continuous print and continuous ID cut, it actually rolls everything up with a take-up wheel. That's a beauty thing on the UCJB 300 or CJB 300 print and cut machine. However, while cutting on a printer, you can't print anything with a print and cut machine. So it depends on your space or your the level of investment cost, you can just decide whether if you wanna go through, if you wanna go ahead to get a print and cut machine or a standalone print and cut, print plus cut. All right, let me check quickly how well it's cut. It's good. It's not perfect. I haven't been able to adjust it, before the webinar. However, it's cut, right? At this moment, I'm gonna just pause cutting because I want to go through a little more page of the presentation. Bear with me. All right, just going through the last page of a presentation. Right, additional information, things to know how. This can, things can be done with FineCut 9. All right, as I say, it's not mandatory software, but the FineCut 9 comes with any of a Mimaki printer and cutter, so you can just implement this process, as long as you've got FineCut 9. The first is add multi-cut layer on ID cut. What it is, for example, if you're doing the short run package application for the box, you need 2 layers of cut. One is the die cut, and the second is how you call the creasing layer for just folding layer, right? In order to do that, you cannot do with a rastering ID cut. So you need to create an ID cut as a cut layer more than 2 layers, and then send the ID cut data from FineCut 9 through to the cutting link directly, not going through rastering 6 in order to do this application. So just to remember, for short run package, well, anyway, the FineCut 9 comes with Mimaki cutting plotter, but you need this software in order to implement 2 layers or multi-layer cuts. The second is, well, I don't want to say this, but the ID cut can do without a Mimaki printer, right? So having FineCut 9 from Mimaki cutting plotter, bundles, you can actually implement ID cut with no investment with Mimaki printer, but only Mimaki cutter. So what you do is on one computer, you've got the artwork creation, which is Adobe Illustrator, and you install FineCut 9 as a plugin into Adobe Illustrator. And you also need the cutting link, free download. However, you can plug to the any of a printer. Doesn't matter if this is wide format, but you can do like offset printers. You can do with the paper printer, the production printers, or even like a Gravure printers or those type of thing. Adding the ID and the cut line into the your design in Adobe Illustrator. You need a lip software, third-party lip software like Onyx, Wasatch, Caldera, the SA International, or those people, in order to run the no branded printer, not from Mimaki. However, cut line automatically comes from a FineCut 9 through a cutting link. So as long as your printer is within the spec or the cutting spec in the Mimaki cutting plotter, you can implement this from tomorrow. Because there are still lots of people investing in Mimaki CG FX2 Plus with no Mimaki printer. So like printer is sold, out of 10 printers sold, we actually selling 30 cutting plotters. So the cutting plotters has basically 3 times bigger market. And since Mimaki as a innovator of cutting plotters since 1984. So I'd also like to not to miss the the cutting investment opportunity in the market. So that's the reason Mimaki supports this. However, you need an additional step of going through a fine cut 9, not only raster link, in order to do the print and cut with the ID with non-Mimaki printers. All right. It's 15 minutes past. So I'd like to say thank you very much for your patience and joining Mimaki webinar today. And hopefully this information suffices your requirement of expectation of today. And I will see you in Wednesday this week for the the next webinar regards to UJF series short run promotional printing solution. If you have any question, I'm here for next 10 minutes. Please leave your comments or question into our chat room, and I'll see you Wednesday. Thank you very much.